Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. This is TMS RoundTable Global. I am Dr. Tova Goldfein. I am so happy to be here on a Monday night, here live from Israel. It's 10 p.m. and it's really early in the morning for Rose. And blessed, healthy, strong Rose got up really early in the morning to be with me and Tamara. Hi, Rose. So good to be with you
Good
this hour.
morning. Good morning. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Tamara again. This month, we are actually trying to focus on All the Rage, Saved by Sarno. Now, one of the people in that movie, Amy, I've forgotten her name now. But anyway,
Peter.
yes, I tried to find her, but I was unable to find her. If anyone out there knows her, get her to get in touch with us and we'll bring her on.
I keep
But
forgetting to ask Michael. He was so busy. I meant to ask
that,
Michael.
yeah. So anyway, what we've done, Tamara has joined us. Now, Rita is unable to join us. Now, maybe anyone who watched us before realized that Tamara and Rita are, I suppose, blogging together, coaching together, and explaining to everyone that CRPS is also a TMS or an anxiety-based pain issue. So what we're doing is we're going to actually talk about the fact that Amy in Michael's movie had 4 jobs, I think 4 jobs. She actually came from somewhere else in America and went to New York to join her partner, whom I think she'd funded to actually go to university in New
Good
York. I'm
memory.
not really sure. So
He
now
put him
we have
through
got,
medical school.
yeah. And then he put her out on the street on Christmas Eve with her symptoms. Now, Tamara, when we talk about this, uh, just help us to sort of get the audience to actually have an experience of what it's like to have this sort of heat, this awful feeling, swelling in their bodies, and know that it's coming from a sense of rage. I don't know if that's sort of enough leverage for you. But firstly, give the audience, anyone who hasn't met you before, a little bit of an idea of how you became an author and how passionate you are on helping other people recover. So, welcome.
So, thank you. So, first of all, couple words about CRPS. CRPS or complex regional pain syndrome is considered a rare disease. However, from what my understanding is, a lot of people are not diagnosed properly. So the actual number of CRPS patients is much higher. It is sometimes called a suicide disease. And just to give you an idea, the, uh, the neuropathic pain caused by CRPS is not measured on a regular 1 to 10 scale. When you go to the doctor and you complain about pain, they ask you on a scale 1 to 10, how much is your pain? No, this is measured on I think, 50-point scale. And the pain from CRPS is similar to the pain of childbirth or amputation of a finger or a toe without anesthesia. So imagine childbirth might last for, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 hours, and then it stops. CRPS pain doesn't stop, and people live with it for years. So what happens is that eventually people get so demoralized that they sort of succumb to this disease. Now, another terrible feature of CRPS is that it spreads. It starts usually in one part of the body, like somebody broke a finger and finger was supposed to heal in 6 weeks. Everything looks normal, but then the pain continues, and then the finger starts swelling, and then it becomes red, and then there are skin changes, and then it looks like a balloon. If you go to Wikipedia, there are a couple couple photos that show CRPS affected limbs, and they look terrible. The hand looks like a big balloon. It's unrecognizable. So it starts spreading. It moves from one side to another. It goes from hands to feet. Eventually, people can get full body CRPS. My partner in maintaining our website, Rita, she had full body CRPS. She was in a wheelchair. People unable to move. They are offered strong painkillers, usually narcotics, and then they get addicted to narcotics. And so just imagine a person who has severe pain and under a constant barrage of narcotics. It is a loss of deterioration of personality. These people often cannot work. They lose income. They become poor. They have to search for treatments that are often not covered by insurance, very expensive. And so it's just not just collapse of one life, it collapse of the family around them. A lot of times they lose their partners. They go on disability. So it is really deterioration of just the whole social environment around these people. It's a very tragic story. And so not too many people are able to pull out of it. They're saying that official statistics is about 20% chance of recovery. And sometimes it absolutely perplexes the medical professionals. Some people, according to the doctors, somehow spontaneously heal. We now know it's not spontaneous. It's people who were lucky to get over certain emotional issues. And that's how they heal from CRPS. And that woman, Amy Skinner, from Michael Galinsky film, is one of the examples. She is actually a remarkable example of a survivor who ended up being victorious in this battle with CRPS.
Yes.
Her story. I'd like to just say on the record, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rose.
I was just going to say Amy Skinner is halfway through. I forget at how many minutes, but anyone with CRPS, if they would please look at Michael Galinsky's movie and see how she overcame it. Because in a way, as Tamara says, she actually realized what caused it and was able to change her attitude. And it's a lovely little clip, but it gives reassurance to anyone who isn't into reading books, who isn't into listening to podcasts, who could actually watch that movie all the way through. So sorry, Tamara. Yeah.
I would like to say with my colleagues here, and that, I'm going, out on a limb on this, but I know that anyone with CRPS can heal. It is not going to be easy, but it is possible. And, we are seeing people heal from many different diseases, many different levels of chronic pain, many different levels of cancer and autoimmune disease and diseases of anxiety. And, again, it's just Rose and I are here every week and we'll continue. And tomorrow's is your third time because we have something to say and something to offer that, people can heal. It is not just possible. And, that's all I'm going to say. It's possible and probable. And, hope and belief is a biology. So it's chemical. So continue. Before I go off on my little, Devar Torah, which is like my parsha of the week of healing. Let's just listen to Tamar.
Can you respond to Mia?
Yeah, too? Yeah. And I also want to say, Lorraine, that's amazing. Lorraine hasn't been on for a while, but she's saying that I want to put her message up because Lorraine has been with us before and has been struggling, and it looks like she's doing some healing. She's gotten better from trigeminal neuralgia, and I'm really happy to hear that. Mia also is an amazing client of Rose's and done amazing healing work and on her journey. So Mia, I just want to say that we're talking about the movie All the Rage, and this month Michael Galinsky is showing it for free. He's joining us in helping us promote the healing methods of Dr. John Sarno and how the basic, sometimes just the basic, 5 or 6 things that Sarno said with jumping in with 2 feet is what we need to go back to and keep consistent. So we're showing the movie for free. We have the link on our newsletter and on our Facebook page. And at the end of the month, Rose and I and Michael Galinsky will be doing a workshop at the end of October, really helping you apply and implement these insights, because we have to do it over and over again. It's like a habit. It's like what Dr. Hanskin will talk about. We've got to fall and get up and fall and get up. Right, Tamara?
Yes, that's what it takes. It took me 2 very long years from the moment I read Dr. Sarno's book, and I'm forever grateful to the friend who told me about it. And by the way, she had to tell me twice, because first time I did not listen. And then second time, I hit the bottom. I basically knew there is no other way to help me, and I was ready to try just about anything. So I said, well, $9, I'll buy the book. I did not. I took it kind of like in humor. I'll buy the book, and then I bought the book, and it took me 2 years from the moment I started reading the book to the moment I realized that I am irreversibly healed. 2 years. Yeah.
How long did it take you to open the first page?
So I was done. Basically, I came home from work. The book was sitting by the front door. I picked it up, and I was done by the end of next day, because I had to go to work the following day. By the end of the following day, I was done with the book, and I knew, and everybody says that, I saw myself on every page.
Yeah, I have to just say what Danny Fagan says. I didn't even have to use a highlighter. She said.
Exactly.
She didn't have to use a highlighter.
I write about it in this book, in my book, that as I was working on my book, which happened a year
Please tell
after.
me the name of your book again. The Verdict.
Yeah, it's. Let me show it to you. It's Define the Verdict.
Fine.
Yeah.
On Amazon.
On Amazon, yeah. I self-published it because no publisher was interested, so I just published it on Amazon.
You did it yourself. Good on you.
Yeah. Learned how to do a lot of things, and the whole work was done, so it was great. So anyway, I write about it in this book, that as I was rereading his mind-body prescription, because that was the book that I got, I was surprised how straightforward, logical, and persuasive his book was. But when I first started reading it, I was so, I wasn't in the healthy mindset. I was not thinking rationally. So I doubted all kinds of things. It took me a long time to believe, not rationally, but in my heart, his theory. And so, and one piece of advice that I give people, if you think about his theory rationally, if you only accept it intellectually, you're not going to heal. It has to come into your bloodstream. It has to be part of your feeling.
Like Rose says, it has to be part of your heart.
Exactly. You have to start believing with your entire being that is a true thing. And then you will start actually getting better. Because if you only think about it rationally, emotionally, subconsciously, you're still the same person who became sick.
Yeah. And there's a denial in us, isn't there? Yeah.
Right.
It can't work for me. And also, there's also this feeling that the doctors didn't get it right. If only they would see it in a different, from my perspective, that sort of idea. And that's why it can't get to the heart. The other part of that is that it's about self-compassion. It's about having empathy for your suffering. If you've got any empathy for your suffering, it will bring up the heart will join the mind, so to speak. Yeah. But it's that empathy.
Rose, you're speaking about something very important. And it took me a while to understand the profound difference between self-compassion and feeling sorry for yourself. Because when you feel sorry for yourself, you are not going to heal, because you feel being a victim of the disease. Something happened to you, regardless of who you are. It just a disaster happened. It came from outside, and you are a victim. And some miracle needs to happen to get you out of that misery that you're in. When you feel empathy for yourself, when you feel self-compassion, is a completely different story. You realize, well, I got into this mess because I didn't do things exactly right, but I'm not going to approach it as a victim. I'm not going to wait for somebody to come and rescue me. I'm going to change it from inside myself with full understanding who I am, with recognition of my shortcomings, of my maybe mistakes, but still I have to be kind to myself, because I expect maybe too much from myself. And this is how I became ill. And so it's a very complicated concept and, emotional, intellectual structure that you have to build inside yourself to understand that you need to change the way of doing things.
And Tamara,
I don't know
what you're saying is very,
the way of
very,
seeing yourself as well.
And Tamara, what you're saying is so profound, because this is chemical. When the body, when the brain senses the victim, which is, it's sad. We're struggling, we're suffering. The brain does protect us with enormous inflammation. And now, with some of the work that I've been reading with Dr. Hanscom, about the cytokines, when I have an anxious thought, I create inflammation. My body creates inflammatory reactions, and then the cycle begins. So when you talk about the victim consciousness, we've all been there. I understand that. The question is, the brain will respond to that. So it doesn't mean you have to, fake it till you make it. Not really that, but it's kind of like the compassion. Yes, I'm struggling. Yes, I'm suffering. Yes, if I can just recognize and witness and be aware that I'm struggling and teach my brain the language. So let's continue talking about the language of self-compassion, which is a skill that a lot of us don't have. How did you learn that? How did you learn that, Tamara?
Oh, I that was very hard. That was very hard. Before we move forward, I just also want to bring up something that I hear a lot. When people get mad when you try to explain to them that their pain is psychosomatic, that it is psychologically induced, and they go, "Don't tell me it's all in my head." And my response to that is, I would rather have something in my head because I can change it and I can control it, than it is something in my body that only some magic pill that doesn't exist can fix. And so that whole attitude, "Don't tell me it's all in my head, my pain is real," is another, in my view, is another manifestation of this victimhood. I'm suffering, I can't do anything, I'm a victim, something has to happen to get me out of it, versus the attitude of a true, I would say the true courage is to look at the mirror and say, I have done certain things wrong in my life. And so how I got out of it, I was very lucky. I found a TMS wiki, where I met some amazing, wonderful people. And really, my book is a tribute to all the people who helped me out. And through TMS Forum, I found LA Pain Psychology Center, Alan Gordon, who is the director. I think he's been on your show, has he?
He
No.
was so busy writing his
He's
book.
too
He's
busy.
too busy. Yeah, with
He's
his
too
book.
busy to talk to us.
I hope he comes on your show someday. And so I was lucky.
It's okay. We have you, Tamara.
What?
It's okay. We have you on our show.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
We only want willing people to come on.
So yeah, I was lucky. I called like 5 times, and finally he picked up the phone and he directed me to one of the psychologists who worked at that time at his center, Amber Murphy, who actually herself recovered from CRPS.
Wow.
And Amber did the same thing as Amy Skinner did. She had a broken foot. She developed CRPS. They told her, you're forever now on crutches. And they said, no way. She said, no way. And she recovered. So anyway, so she explained a very simple thing to me. She said, you are so fearful, and that stops you from getting better. And we had probably 10 sessions on Zoom because she's in LA and I'm not. And so basically she spent 10 sessions pounding one simple thing into my brain. Fear is what prevents you from getting better. 10 sessions to explain the simple thing. And so I started sort of getting rid of my fear. And then somewhere I learned that people with CRPS, if they do meditation, they get better. And I thought, well, what do I lose? And I started meditating. And it was meditation that really started changing things. And I'm a big believer in meditation.
Tamara, would you pause for a moment and share with the audience how difficult it probably was to start meditating? Because this is one of the problems that many people, because they won't accept that their mind is going to go away, and that they just need to bring it back gently and kindly. Would you share?
Yes. So
how hard it was usually?
Yeah. So meditation is extremely popular now in the United States. Everybody meditates. There are meditation apps. There are all kinds of like meditation, guided meditation videos that you can find. And what I discovered is that the meditation that people do, people who are not in severe circumstances and in a desperate mindset, who don't really have what I call, really, it's kind of a mental illness when your anxiety is through the roof. And so that kind of a recreational meditation, I would say, is not what would help people who are at extreme condition of anxiety or depression or OCD, which really is a cause of a lot of chronic pain. So over time, I developed kind of my style of meditation. And so there are several things that I usually tell people, kind of a tips on how to learn meditation. First of all, I do believe that each person with chronic pain got into chronic pain in their own unique way, whether it was a childhood trauma or maybe hypersensitive nervous system, or it was a traumatic recent event in their adult life, like Amy Skinner, who had an abusive husband. And so regardless how you get in, your way out has to be developed by you. And you have to be your own doctor. It's actually in my book, I quote Albert Schweitzer, each patient carries his own doctor inside him. We are at our best when we give that doctor who resides in us a chance to work. And this is how I approach meditation. So people often get hung up on the schematics of it. Oh, I have to sit cross-legged. I have to sit on the floor because this is how gurus meditate. Or I have to play some certain specific music, or it has to be guided because otherwise I won't be able to meditate. So I tried multiple kinds of meditation, guided meditation. One of the most popular ones is body scan, when you just sit or lie down, relaxed, and you start kind of relaxing each body part at a time. Start with the left foot, then left knee, then you go to your right foot and all that. I could never get out of my legs in this mental exercise because I would start with my left leg, and then I would go to the right leg, and then I'm thinking, well, did I really do my left leg? So I would better repeat it. And I just kept going back and forth, and I would get even more anxious because I was not doing it right. So eventually I realized it doesn't matter how I do it, as long as I achieve the result. And and because I had CRPS at the time, and I had one of the manifestations of CRPS is dystonia, which is involuntary.
Is what? I'm sorry, is
dystonia. Dystonia. So it's involuntary contraction of the muscles. So my muscles were so tight, were so stiff, I could not sit cross-legged to save my life. So I just started sitting on the couch. I just put my my elbows on two pillows on my sides, and then I developed a certain routine. And it was, trial and error. It took me several months to develop it. So I have this throw, kind of like a little blanket that I put over myself. And that blanket, you know how toddlers run around with a blanket? And that's their kind of a comfort blanket. So I put that blanket over me and I start relaxing. And so I tried counting, one of the routines is you have to count your breaths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Guess what? I would get to 3 and I go, oh my God, did I do 2? So once I threw away all the rules and I started basically following my breath. All I do is just watch my breath, how my breath goes in and out, in and out. What helped me was that I practiced yoga for many years, so I know what Ujjayi breathing is. And this is, you can find a lot of instructions online, YouTube. There are plenty of yoga teachers who would teach you Ujjayi breathing, but even that is not important. As long as you just follow your breath, in and out, in and out. And then if you start sort of consciously slowing down your breathing, just slower, a little bit slower than the previous one. And it is easy without getting obsessive because you can remember how deep your breath was, how long it was the previous one. You can't go back 3 of them. But the previous one, it took you a little longer this time than it was before. And so those very simple rules. And I went from not being able to meditate at all, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I just couldn't do it. I went to meditating for an hour, hour and a half without any effort. And so one very important tip, somewhere I read that to have a healing effect, meditation has to be at least 20 minutes. And then I learned from my own experience how that 20 minutes, what that 20 minutes are. So about 10, 15 minutes into my meditation, and less as I became more experienced with it, I start feeling release of my emotions. I start getting anxious. And it's not specific. Oh, you know what? I forgot to check my email. Oh, I forgot to turn off my stove. Oh, maybe I'm going to get some mail. So all these things just start sort of racing in my mind, and all with one purpose, just stop meditation.
Yeah.
And I compare it to a surfer breaking through the surf. Um, that's that line of surf that you have to get through. And then once you get through those 15, 20 minutes and not give in, you end up in the healing phase of meditation when you feel relaxed and all these racing thoughts. That's the most important part of it. Racing thoughts stop racing in your mind. They slow down, they become less frequent, and you're just sitting in that cloud of peace and calmness. And then you can sit in that cloud forever. And that's what desensitizes your nervous system. If we go back to neuro, neuroscience, neuropsychology, this is what desensitizes your nervous system, because this is how we get into anxiety, because we overthink things. Wow. This is what the fear is. This is what OCD is, because we are overthink. This is our human brain, that the frontal lobe that is better, most recently developed, the one that sets us aside from animals. That's what gets us in trouble, because we tend to think more than we need to. And so once you desensitize your brain day after day, you're going to get better. Somehow pain gets less.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were talking about something now about actually spacing out your thoughts. When you focus on your breath, just without any preconceived ideas about it, then you're going internally into your body. And the other thing is that as you were speaking, I was remembering this amazing book called The Cloud of the of Unknowing by John of the Cross. And it's about letting go, just absolutely letting go and letting your breath do the work. And Tamara, thank you for drawing that out so deeply and so well, because you don't need to have a special, tape or anything. It's just staying with your breath. Simple. And when we talk about meditation, people often think, well, it's some special thing I'm doing. But no, it's just being yourself. It's just being in your own space, however you do it. By doing your cushions and your blanket and all of that, they were your little things to put you in the space. But some people will light a candle, for example, and just look at the candle and do the breathing. Or they'll have a special quiet place in their home, or something like that.
Plant or a special plant, and they have a routine.
Yeah, and it's the routine that reassured you, didn't it?
Yeah, it's safety. It creates sense of safety, and it eliminates that unpredictability that throws us into anxiety.
Yeah, and I want to answer two of the questions. One, Susie mentions, isn't meditation, it's individual, no one size fits all. But then I'm going to bring Maria's question up. When you meditate, you find out about yourself. You get to know yourself. Journaling helps you know yourself, because we don't know ourselves. We're disconnected. So learning the habit and working at it, and again, failing and succeeding, I don't even call it failing, but you learn, and it becomes your individual, beautiful sense of, I'm going to do this, to do that. So Maria, maybe you want to answer her question, how to prevent other TMS related symptoms.
That is a very difficult question. And I will tell you a little story, that's something that happened to me several months ago. Last summer, I love hiking, and I love hiking in the mountains. So last summer, me and my partner, we just went on a very challenging trip in the mountains. It's backpacking. We were on the trail for 19 days. And so in very rough conditions. And but it's so beautiful, it's worth it. So anyway, I was really nervous about the upcoming trip. And sure enough, the more we trained, because we did a lot of training, conditioning, and all that, I developed pain in my foot, and it was kind of neuropathic shooting pain in my foot. And so I thought, well, I better go and see somebody who could help me with that. So I went to the chiropractor. And before even that, initially I kind of dismissed it. Oh, it's TMS. It's probably I'm getting nervous. And I tried the TMS thing. You know, I even tried to meditate. I tried to talk to myself. Well, you know, you're just nervous. And it didn't work. So I went to the specialist and the chiropractor and showed me exercises. And I was doing all these exercises to just, you know, 30 minutes every day, training my arch and doing this and that, and it would just get a little better, and then it comes back. So I didn't have a choice. I had to get on the trail. So I'm getting on the trail, and my foot starts hurting. Like about 2 or 3 hours into it, it just starts shooting that really, really bad pain. And so I thought, well, that's it for my trip. I'm not going to make it. But I had to go because I had to walk because there was no way to get out of it. And so by day 3, my pain was less and less. By day 5, it disappeared completely. And mind you, I was walking on average 10 miles a day on very rough trails, climbing up huge elevation gains with a heavy backpack. I thought I knew everything about TMS. And I got a repeated symptom with all of my knowledge. And I write books and I teach people how to get rid of the pain. So you can't really prevent other than basically as they come. Don't take them too seriously, and learn how to separate the true TMS symptoms from potentially structural symptoms. And a lot of times it's very difficult. I spent tons of money on fixing my foot. All I needed to do was just basically get over my fear and just get on the trail and go.
Well, acute symptoms get better. Acute symptoms get better. Chronic pain is emotional, and so.
Okay, but look, could we just sort of digest this for a moment and unwrap it? You're preparing every week or every whatever to do this 19-day walk. So you're building up anxiety and you're building up excitement. And both of those things are not mixing very well for you. So then getting into the walk or prior to it, the anxiety comes up again, doesn't it? And anxiety is a manifestation of fear, isn't it? So would the fear be that you wouldn't be able to do it, that you wouldn't be good enough? What do you think the fear was about?
Oh, I was afraid of all that. Again, one of the characteristics of a TMS personality is tendency to catastrophize. And so all the possible dangers that could happen to us on the trail, everything was rolling through my mind. I kept thinking about it all the time. I was trying to get prepared and being always a good planner, advanced planner. I tried to plan for every kind of emergency that might happen. And the more I was preparing for it, the more anxious I was getting.
Yeah.
And
excited as well.
And excited. By day 5, I loosened up. I was comfortable that we were going to make it, and the pain went away.
I think what you did also was real pain reprocessing therapy. You said to your body and brain, everything is okay. You lived your life and the pain went away, as opposed to, I'm going to live my life after the pain goes away. You told your brain everything is okay. You brought safety. So in answer to Maria's question, preventatively, how to prevent TMS symptoms, know yourself, understand your anxiety, be compassionate, witness, recognize, observe when you're feeling anxious, notice your body, notice your heart beating, notice your eyes blinking, recognize, know your triggers, and respond.
And looking back, maybe if I was less anxious in my preparation, I would have just set aside an hour and a half every day and meditated. And the initial symptoms, just answering your question, you can't prevent them from happening. You can protect yourself from developing them into the real prolonged episodes. And so maybe I would have stopped that episode of pain pretty quickly. And it would have never developed to the point that I was afraid I would not make it through the hike.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you think that when you developed the pain, that you sort of had an aha moment about your anxiety and about your fear? Did you have an aha moment that you could describe to our viewers? You know, this moment that you said, this pain is about my anxiety. This pain is about my fear. Can you verbalize that a little bit for the audience so that they can hone into it themselves, so they can grab it and own it?
Yeah. So as far as anxiety goes, a lot of times anxiety manifests itself in a very specific physical symptoms, physical events in your body, because anxiety, as any emotion, is just a flush of hormones in your body. And so it could be that you feel kind of a like jittery sensation in your body, or maybe your hands start shaking a little bit, or maybe you feel discomfort in your neck, or maybe you realize that you have these racing thoughts that are worry about something but nothing specific. Because if there is something specific, that is not anxiety, it's fear. Fear is our emotional response to a specific, well-defined danger. Anxiety is a worry in search of a danger.
I love that.
Nicely
I
said.
love that.
Nicely
I want to
said.
write it again.
I love that.
Again.
So yeah. So
No. Once you say that, I can repeat that. I want to write it.
So yeah. So
Fear.
Fear is emotional response. It's evolutionary
To a threat.
mechanism to emotional response to specific danger. The tiger is following you, or you see the rock falling over, falling right before your eyes, and you just step back so it wouldn't hit you. That's fear. Anxiety is when you're worried, but the potential danger can be just about anything. It's basically your mind is worried and it's looking for the fear, for the danger to latch onto.
Anxiety is when you are worried, looking for the danger.
You're looking, yeah. Your mind is searching for the cause so it can just justify, substantiate the reason for the worry.
So
I love it.
Anxiety is when you are worried, looking for the danger.
It's looking for the danger.
You're looking
rather
for
than the danger being there.
To confirm the fear that doesn't really exist.
Right.
Yeah, but it's catastrophizing.
Yeah.
I mean, we use the word catastrophizing. Yeah. But in essence, it's anxiety caused from looking for the danger.
For the danger.
I love it, Tamara.
And
the
more self-aware you are, the more mindful you are about yourself, your emotions, your reactions, the more likely you are to recognize that. And I was going back to my story. I was so busy and so worried about all the planning that I had to do that I sort of ignored all the signals that my mind was sending me. I'm overworked. I need you to relax. I need you to calm me down. And so once I started ignoring all that, the pain immediately showed up in my foot. By the way, it hasn't been back. It's been 5 months? I have no pain in my foot.
And you also, I just want to say that you also, having CRPS and now having symptoms, you didn't go into like, oh my God, it's CRPS. You were just like, okay, something's going on. I'm going to go check it out. Like you didn't, you also, maybe you didn't stop. Like, I'm just saying, like you have learned and now you applied the same
Yes.
tools.
Yes. So
her learning, Tamara, Tamara's learning has been slowing down so that she was able to look at it. Because until you slow down and you stop the racing mind, and that's why the breathing, the meditation was your go-to, so that then when you went on your walk, you also had that reflective capacity, because one of the healing components is a reflective capacity. So
excellent, Rose.
Yeah.
And let's, can you talk about like the racing mind that cannot reflect, and how maybe some of the listeners and some of us all with anxiety and chronic pain can maybe learn to slow down and learn to self-reflect?
Okay, it's a doing, I would say, more than a knowing. It's a doing, as Tamara did, a doing.
So
she started off small and kept going and kept going.
So she was consistent,
perseverance,
consistent with her.
Yeah, with her own treatment, with her own therapy, with her own self.
So I think, ladies, you are touching up on different methods that people take. From what I have seen, people take different methods how to approach their pain. It could be Amy Skinner, who had no choice because she had to get through her pain. She found herself on crutches or in some kind of a boot Christmas night in the street with all of her belongings in New York in the snow. She had to make it. At that point, she basically told her brain, we have to do it. I have no other choice. She said, I did not see, I wrote it down. I did not see it any other way. That's one approach. The other approach is to desensitize your nervous system to the point that it brings it down a notch, and the brain starts slowly getting out of the habit of generating all these pain signals. That's the second way of doing it. And then there is a third way, which is what Dr. Sarno's original method was, to go back and find that trigger that caused your pain. This is Freudian method. And hopefully by doing that, you will be able to reverse the whole thing. And so there are three different that I see. And really people use combination of three in some ways.
Excellent.
And when you work with a TMS psychologist, they are really kind of walking you through the steps. I think this is what Rose and Tova are doing. If they work with you, they basically point out all the issues that you're facing and sort of steer you towards finding that way through pain, out of pain. And so so these are three methods, and each one of them equally valid depending on your situation, your circumstances. I could never find that smoking gun in my childhood. I could never find that one event that somehow turned me into chronic pain sufferer. I gave up.
There isn't, Tamara, it's not always like that, though.
Yeah.
It's not always like that. It's not like someone died or a divorce or whatever. It's often so subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's about our own perception about ourselves. Yeah.
And what is traumatic event for one person may be a non-event for somebody more resilient.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So it's very highly individual. I don't know if I answered your question, Tova.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. No, I got
You more than
distracted.
answered it, Tamara.
I got
You're very, very
distracted.
articulate.
My ruminating mind got distracted a little bit, and I wanted to put in a response. And so, fear is an emotional response to a specific danger, and anxiety is when you are worried, looking for the danger. And with TMS, the danger is not a real threat and a perceived threat, and we learn to bring safety to our brain and our body with compassion. With compassion and self-acceptance.
Good.
I just kind of wanted to finish it because it seems to me that when there's a real danger, okay, fear, thank God, thank you for the fear, acceptance. So, but when it's a perceived fear, perceived danger, I mean, then we become, rather than let's slow the cycle down. Let's eventually understand our reaction to fear, our fight and flight, and notice that we can have a choice. If we self-reflect, oh, there's me being a little bit like a drama queen. I think I'll be compassionate.
Exactly. Drama queen.
Understand a bit of drama queen.
There is one more thing that I learned, that taking yourself and your pain and your suffering way too seriously is another manifestation of victimhood. If you start looking at yourself a little bit from a distance and a little bit with a healthy dose of humor, self-deprecated humor, it actually helps with pain.
Can you extrapolate a little bit more on that? Because there aren't many patients that I bump into that, that can take that quite so.
How dare you? How dare you? You know, like it's to be a little insulting. I mean, people are sensitive, and it's like, you know, like chill out or calm down, or like we had this. You said humor, right? You said humor.
Humor.
Yeah, we had this great guy last week. It was an incredible show about the beauty of the humor, the love, the self-compassion, like the self-reflection of the.
Talk about it a bit more, Tamara.
Yeah. So it helps you to put your pain and suffering in a perspective. Because when you are, and it's very hard when your pain is so extreme, like, you know, you're as if somebody is cutting off your finger and it's happening 24 hours a day for years to come. It is very difficult at that point to kind of step back and look at yourself from afar. And that's what humor really is. You look at yourself from outside. So I think it's baby steps. You know, the pain eases and you just think, well, you know, it's not that bad. And hey, remember how you were yesterday? And now look, you're doing great. And maybe if you make a joke about yourself, then, you know, you're going to feel a little better. And when you start applying humor, again, it has probably some physiological underpinning, not being a doctor, but I think once you start making jokes, you release some endorphins in your bloodstream, and that helps to respond to pain. So I think it's really healthy to be able to look at yourself with humor.
Actually, you could do that by saying, "Oh, look, my finger's telling me something again. Oh, what are you telling me, finger?"
So it's exactly what happened to me, because my CRPS started with middle finger. And I used to say that my middle finger gave me a middle finger. That was kind of my way to look at it in a more humorous way.
Very good.
Yeah.
So I know that last time you were on our show, you and Rita left us, and I know we can send it out again. It was a number of tips, and I mean, again, there's enormous ways to heal. And like Susie said, to meditate. Everyone, it's so individual. Healing is such a personal art
journey.
And I think to leave tonight's show with hope and belief and consistency and trust and whether with humor or not, it's a belief. Maybe we can chat for a minute about the belief that we can heal. And there's enormous medical look. There's clinics set up in hospital for CRPS. It's a medical thing, but people can get better. And if people can get better from the CRPS medicine, they don't need TMS. But if it's ongoing, here we are to help you believe and have hope. Tell us maybe a moment when you really felt like you couldn't go on, and then there was a thought, there was a memory, there was the way you channeled your OCD into helping you, to serving you.
I think that's actually a very good point, that OCD is our enemy, but it also can be a helper. If you just start saying to yourself, well, I tried this, I tried that, and it didn't work, but I just can't give up. I just can't give up. I'll try one more time. And you trying one more time, not because maybe you don't even think it's going to help, but because the way you made, and I have this obsessive tendencies, I have to try every option left on the table. And so I just kept going through options on the table until I found the ones that kind of worked for me. So, just imagine a big table, big empty table, and you see all those options as they appear. You just put them on the table and you go, okay, I crossed out this one. It didn't work. Maybe I should try this. Ketamine did not work. Surgery did not work. Well, there is this meditation saying, well, maybe I should devote 3 months to it and see if it's going to help. It took me 3 months to really arrive at the moment that I meditated for an hour and a half on the weekend, and the following day, not the same day I didn't feel any changes. The following day, my pain lifted for literally a couple minutes. And then I thought, well, if I got these 2 minutes because I spent an hour and a half meditating, maybe I can meditate my way out.
Yes.
And I want to say to our listeners, even if no pain, if pain isn't stopping, I'm protecting people by saying, I would want to suggest that no pain is not the goal. Okay, because it's okay to have that as a goal, accept that you want that. But how many people I know that had a drink and the pain went away, and they're like, I'm not saying to drink, but it'll show you the power of what you can do. You can be your own placebo, your own chemical, your own opioid, your own cannabis. And so to be able to understand your ability to help me, Rose, with this one, because I want people to still be on their journey and not get rid of the pain, because the pain will eventually shift.
All right. Okay. The pain is a symptom of another underlying problem, is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
It's merely a symptom, but it's a very difficult symptom. And unfortunately, the symptom keeps us occupied rather than looking for the issue that created it. I think that puts it into perspective.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then the most important thing is look for small improvements, because
acknowledge them.
Consists of small improvements. And if you acknowledge and celebrate every 1 minute that you spend pain-free or less in pain, it eventually creates a pattern in your brain, and eventually your brain gets used to no pain experience.
Could I also
Exactly.
add that I've noticed over the time that it's often a good idea to ask loved ones, people you know, or friends or whatever, do you see anything, do you perceive anything different about me? Because they can give you acknowledgement, internal acknowledgement, but external acknowledgement, because that's always a good idea, because when we're preoccupied with our CRPS, we're not thinking about other people. We're thinking about ourselves. Whereas in a social situation or whatever, or someone you trust, you could sort of say, I've been working on the CRPS. Do you see anything different about me? And then that way you can get that reassurance that, yes, you're traveling along. Because sometimes when you're living in pain on a daily basis, you can't see your way out of it.
Yeah. And you touched up on something very important. When you are in pain all the time, you become selfish. Something that really helped me in my recovery, as soon as I started feeling a little better, I started going on TMS forum, not for help, but to actually help other people.
To support
And
people.
it's amazing how writing answers to questions that people posted helped me to understand my own issues and helped me to actually get better by self-realization and by mindfulness and self-awareness.
Beautiful point. And Sarno
Yeah.
says that that's one of his, to help others is an incredible physiological, neurological shift. Very good point. And it's hard. It's not easy to do that.
Yeah. Could you respond?
Yeah.
Could you respond to Kathy too, please, Tova?
Thank you for that.
I thought problem solving wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Could you just say, could we just say that it's not so much problem solving, but realizing that there is a problem, not to solve it at the moment, but to see that the symptom is taking us away from our real lives. And we're unable then to sort out our emotional self-esteem, relationship problems, because we're tied up with our symptom. And that's what, it's not about looking to problem solve per se. It's allowing us to see that the symptom, which is there to help us, overwhelms us, and we can't see how to have a better relationship with our loved ones, a better relationship with our employer, a better relationship with our kids, or whatever. Yeah, self-esteem, never being able to be good enough.
And problem solving is like a temporary look. We do it, and it's a behavior, and we have to be clear about our expectations about the problem solving. So and we're not really, Kathy, we're not getting rid of pain. I think, even, I'm sensitive to getting rid of or, beating the cancer. We are accepting, we are embracing, we are understanding and integrating the parts of our personality. And one is that I have a condition, and integrating that, just like we integrate the past into the present in order to heal trauma.
Yes. Yeah. And that, Kathy, that integration, as Tova said, is the important part of the healing. Integrating, and as Tamara said, integrating the fear about she not doing enough in her what do you call it, in her hike, and planning. Did I take the aspirin? Did I take the ibuprofen? Have I got enough water? All of that stuff, all that planning, all that thing, then brings on a pain.
If I also could add to it one quick thing. Western medicine, unfortunately, developed so deep into the details that it's now stopped looking at the person as one organism, one human being interconnected with hundreds, maybe thousands of other human beings. And it basically zeroes in on one body part. and you have a podiatrist who works on your foot, you have eye doctor who works on your eye, and the hand surgeon only works on the hand, it is a very dangerous approach. And if you look at yourself, at your mind body as one organism that has to be in balance in order to function properly, you realize that pain is the signal, as Rose said, that is given to you to respond to the cause, not to the pain as a problem. If your problem is your inner lack of inner peace, then you're solving the problem. If your problem is pain in your finger, then you're not solving the problem. Does it make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tamara, thank you so much. I don't know what happened to Tova.
Yeah,
She's
she
dropped out.
disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. Tamara, thank you. Now,
Thank you.
audience, please be aware that we've got All the Rage. Michael Galinsky has opened it up for everyone. So please share it as much as you can, because it could just be that one little thing that says to someone who's in chronic pain, yes, I can get out of it, because it's all about our feelings and how we've repressed our feelings. And it's so simple. And that's why, Kathy, in a way, it's not problem solving. It's what have I repressed? What have I held back on? And, you know, most people will say to me, oh, yes, but I don't get angry. And you think, well, oh, okay. So when you're hurt and you don't get angry, isn't there a link missing? Yeah. So we're looking for that missing link to let it come up and be present in us. It doesn't mean have rage, like doing some harm, but it's about defending ourselves, not needing to be perfect anymore, just needing to be ordinary and human. Yeah, instead of superhuman. So, Tamara, thank you. We'll let you go. And unfortunately, Tova isn't here with us. Next week, we've got Karen Neaton, who's actually works in theatre, works in the operating theatre and in the recovery room area, but we'll actually be talking in relation to All the Rage and how pain overwhelms us. So please join us again next week. Unfortunately, it's at a different time, so watch out for that. And all the best and enjoy your hiking.
Thank
I'm sure
you.
you've got another
And
plan.
thank you so much